Okay, so in this example, we're going to be talking about multiplying complex numbers. Now, in order to do this problem, you have to know one thing, and that is that the square root of -1 is equal to I. And if the square root of -1 is equal to I, that means if I square both sides, -1 is equal to I squared, okay? You have to remember that when you're multiplying complex numbers. That will come into play over and over again. So make sure you know that I squared is equal to -1. Okay, and with that being said, let's talk about how we're going to do the first problem. So I can see that all I'm doing is multiplying. I have 5i times 8i times 2. Now remember, you can multiply in any order. It doesn't matter. So I could do 8i times 2. I could do 5i times 2. It doesn't matter, right? I'll just go left to right. So I have to do 5i times 8i. That will give me 40i squared, okay? And now we know that I squared is really -1. So essentially what you're doing here, you're going to replace this I squared with a -1. So I'm going to do 40 times -1, which is -40. So now I have -40 times 2. And so my final answer here is going to be -80. All right, and that's done. Okay, why don't we go ahead and try another example. So here's our next example. I'm multiplying two binomials and they're both complex numbers. So you have to do FOIL here. Again, FOIL is first, outside, inside, last, okay? So doing first, I do 1 times 2 and I get 2. Doing outside, I do 1 times a -3i, I get -3i. Doing inside, I do 2i times 2, I get 4i, so plus 4i. And then doing last, I get -6i squared, okay? From here, you want to go ahead and combine like terms. So I have like terms here and here. So 2 and then -3i plus 4i is positive I, so plus I. And then minus 6i squared. And now remember, we know that I squared is really -1. So essentially what you're doing right here is -1 times a -6. That's going to give you positive 6. So I have to do 2 plus 6, and that will give me 8. So my final answer here is going to be 8 plus I. Okay, and that's it. All right, let's try another example. So here's my next example. And again, a common mistake that I see a lot of students will take this exponent of 2 and they'll try to apply it to both terms inside parentheses here. That is not correct. What you have to do here is multiply out two binomials. So for example, you're going to do 3 minus 3i times 3 minus 3i, okay? So again, that's the proper way of doing it. Now, again, we're going to do FOIL. So doing first, I do 3 times 3, I get 9. Doing outside, I get -9i. Doing inside, I also get -9i. And then finally, doing last, I get positive 9i squared. So combining like terms, I have them here and here. I get 9 and then minus 18i. And then plus 9i squared. Now remember, I squared is really -1. So I'm doing -1 times 9. This whole part right here is going to be -9. And I have a positive 9 here. So it's 9 minus 9. They cancel each other out, meaning I'm left with -18i. That's your final answer right there. Okay. All right, let's try one more example. So here's our last example, a little more challenging because we have 3 binomials that we're multiplying. So again, we're going to do FOIL and then we'll go from there. So you can multiply in any order. I'll multiply my first 2 binomials by using FOIL, and then I'll take care of this binomial at the end. So doing first, outside, inside, last, I have to do -8 times a -5. That gives me positive 40. Okay. Doing outside, I get -56i. So -56i. Doing inside, I get -20i. And then doing last, I get positive 28i squared. From here, we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So I get 40. And combining like terms here and here, I end up with -76i. So -76i. And then we know that I squared is really -1. So this becomes -28. So now I have more like terms here and here. I have to do 40 minus 28, and that will give me 12. So I'm left with 12 minus 76i, okay? Now I have to multiply it by this last binomial. So I'm going to put this in parentheses, and I'm going to multiply it one more time, this time by 7 plus 6i. So again, we're going to do FOIL again, and then we'll be done. So doing first, I have to do 12 times 7. That's going to give me 84. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this up. That way I know I'm starting a new section here. 84. Doing outside, I get plus 72i. Doing inside, I get negative 532, and then I. And then when I do last, I get negative 456, and then this will be I squared. Okay? So cleaning it up, I have like terms here and here. When I plug that into my calculator, I get negative 460. So I get 84 minus 460i, and then minus 456 I squared. So again, we know that I squared is negative 1. So this whole term right here is going to become positive 456. So now all I have to do in my calculator is 456 plus 84, and I get 540. So my final answer is going to be 540, and then minus 460i. Okay, and that is going to be complete. All right, and that is it. So if the video helped you in any way, or if you gained anything from the video, if you could just go ahead and give it a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you get more math videos in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.